Okay, good morning grade 5 pupils. Okay, so today, because of some circumstances, we cannot have our face-to-face discussion for our lesson. So today, I'm going to have a video presentation on the next lesson after we've discussed the needle craft. Because if we don't discuss this, then we will be behind of the lessons that we will tackle later. So, today, the lesson that I'm going to tackle is preparing and serving nutritious meals. Okay, so before we proceed to our lesson, I have a question. Why do you think we need to prepare nutritious meals? Okay, so nutritious meals have many benefits. It can give us good health. It can protect us from any diseases or sickness, and also it can also give us the nutrients that we needed to survive to everyday activities. Okay, so sometimes the one that prepares our meals is our mother, and our mothers have the great role in preparing and in giving us nutritious meals. Okay, so sit back, relax, and hope you are ready to listen. Okay, so again, the lesson that we are going to tackle today is preparing and serving nutritious meals. Okay, so there are certain topics that is inside or the subtopics for this main topic. So the first is menu planning and buying food. Why do you think our parents, or especially our mother, need to plan our menu for our everyday meals? So we can discuss it later. So, and also, what are the things that you need to consider when buying our food? Because we cannot cook something or a meal without buying its ingredients. Okay, so first, meal planning. Okay, meal planning is a method of thinking, choosing, planning, and deciding the series of activities in meal management. Okay, so sometimes, because of hectic schedule and because we don't have time, sometimes our mothers cannot decide what we are going to eat or for the meal that she is going to cook for the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But a meal planning is a systematic way of deciding what are the activities or what are the meals that is good to be cooked for that particular breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So planning, why do you think planning is important? Planning is important because it can help you or it can give you a guide in which what are the things that you're going to do for your everyday meal. Okay, so they're also called menu pattern. Pattern is essential in which you can have a regular pattern on what are the meals that you're going to prepare for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because sometimes, because we don't have a meal pattern, a food for breakfast, sometimes we eat it in dinner because we don't have a meal pattern. But sometimes, this kind of pattern is just applicable for those who have a lot of supply of food. Because sometimes we eat food that are available in our kitchen. Okay, so this is an example of a meal pattern. So what have you observed? Okay, so in a meal pattern, this is what you can see. There are schedules in a week. So this is a meal pattern for a week. So from Monday to Sunday. So what are the meals in a day? We have breakfast. Sometimes we have snacks, lunch, and dinner. So mostly, what are the most food that we are going to prepare for breakfast? Sometimes we cook eggs, maybe hot dogs, maybe ham. That's why, have you observed that we have tortang, champurrado, tuna, fried rice, bacon, eggs, because those are the most common food that we eat for breakfast. Next, for lunch. Okay, but sometimes our snacks, for example, because you are students, you are just going to buy in canteens. Okay, so for lunch, sometimes your parents are giving you lunch boxes that you're going to eat in schools, but sometimes you're just going to buy in the canteen. But mostly, lunch is a heavy meal in which it contains maybe vegetables, meat, adobo, manok, liempo, then rice, and also snack in the afternoon, then dinner. Mostly in the dinner, it is just light meal. Okay, so now let's talk about the food pyramid. Food pyramid, we already discovered this word because this pyramid is used as a guide in planning healthy meals. Meals in which it is ranked according to how these food are going to be eaten. So sometimes there are levels that need to be prioritized on what are the food that need to be prioritized or what are the food that you will be less eaten or less to be prioritized. So this is a food pyramid. Okay, so as you can see in this food pyramid, the top portion, it says there, you need to eat less in this kind of food because sometimes fats, oils can lead to cholesterol or high blood pressure. Then sweets can lead to diabetes. That's why you need to eat them less. Next, eat moderately, or you're not going to eat it every day or maybe once or 2 times in a week or 3 times in a week. So these are the foods that you need to eat moderately: milk, cheese, yogurt. Then on the right side, poultry, fish, eggs, dry beans, and dairy products. Because sometimes this kind of food also contains less fat, and sometimes it can give you a lot of fats that can lead to cholesterol. Next, on the third level, we have the fruits and vegetables. So these kind of foods you need to what? Eat more. Because the fruits and vegetables can give us a lot of what? Energy and nutrients for our body. And also it can help us prevent ourselves from getting sick. Next, on the bottom part or level, it says there, eat most. Why do you think vegetable is not on the eat most? Okay, because grains and cereals can give us a lot of what? Carbohydrates that can give us the energy every day. That's why in every meal, especially as Filipinos, we really have rice because rice can give us the energy that we needed to go on or to do our activities every day. Okay, again, fats, oils, salts, and sweets, eat less. Meat, poultry, fish, eggs, dry beans, and dairy products, eat moderately. Fruits and vegetables, eat more. Grains and cereals, eat most. Okay, next, we have market list. Okay, so before we're going to cook our daily meals, the first thing that our parents or our mother is going to do is to buy the ingredients. So we have this term called a market list. Why do you think we need to have a list when buying the ingredients in the market? Okay, we need to have a market list when buying ingredients to the market because if we have a list, it can save us a lot of money. Because if we have a list of items that we're not going to buy, then we cannot buy those things that are not needed for the meal or the recipe. So we can save money. Next, we can also save time, because if we have the list, then we can have the goal on what are the things we are going to buy. Then we will not buy any more ingredients that are not needed for our recipe. And also, it can help us save energy, because after you bought all the ingredients, then you can now go back to your house or to your home. Okay, so that's why if you are going to buy the ingredients for your meal, then you must have what? A market list. Okay, so this is an example of a market list. As you can see, it shows the list of food or the list of ingredients that you needed for your meal. So, but in this kind of market list, it don't have a price and the quantity. So, I will give you another example. So, this is another example of a market list. As you can see, it has these 4 columns. It contains the quantity, unit, item description, and estimated cost. When we say quantity, it refers to the number of pieces, kilograms, or grams of food. So it says there, how many kilograms? 1, maybe 1/4, 1, 1/2, or 1/2 dozens. Okay, next part of the menu planning is the unit. When we say unit, it tells us the unit of measurement for the quantity, whether kilograms, grams, ounces, liters, etc. Okay, next, the item description. So, item description, these are the foods or the ingredients that you bought. Okay, example, pork liempo, potato, tomato, and egg. So, estimated cost, the estimated price of the quantity. Okay, 180 for 1 kilogram of pork liempo, 10 pesos for 1/4 of potato, etc. Then the total amount of estimated cost. Okay. So now, let's talk about preparing and cooking food. So in cooking food, there are a lot of preparation in which we are going to use a lot of cooking methods and processes. Okay, so food preparation means the process or preparation when cooking food, because you cannot cook something if you didn't have the process on how you're going to cook the food. First is beating. Beating is just like mixing with or beating eggs. Next, mixing 2 or more ingredients. Blending, which uses what equipment? Blender. Next, chopping, just cutting food into smaller pieces. Next, curing, removing the core of the fruit or vegetable. So, that is called an apple corer. Okay, next, creaming. So, creaming is just uses butter, milk, or cream in which you are going to mix it. That kind of method is called creaming. Next, cut in. Cut in which you're going to mix shortening with dry ingredients. So, example of shortening is butter, margarine, or vegetable oils. Then, dry ingredients, flour, baking soda, baking powder, maybe sugar. So, you're going to mix the shortening with the dry ingredients. That is called cut in. So, this kind of tool is called a pastry blender. Next, cubing. So, it's just cutting food or vegetables into cubes. Next, cut into strips. So, cutting long, narrow pieces. As you can see in this picture, the person is cutting the vegetable into strips. Next, dicing. So dicing is just the same with cubes, but mostly dicing is for smaller sizes of cubes. Next, dredging. So dredging, it's just coating meat or any food items with flour, breadcrumbs, or sugar. That is called dredging. Next, flaking. So if you want to make for example, fish or chicken into smaller pieces, then you're going to flake it. Next, folding. So folding, it is just adding egg whites or whipped cream into the mixture. So this kind of process is applicable for baking. So usually the finished product for this kind of method is foam or the kind of cakes like chiffon cake. Next, rubbing food against grating. Next, julienne. What kind of cut? Much like strips. Julienne. Next, marinating, putting meat or fish in a sauce. Mostly the purpose of this one is to give flavor to the meat. Next, mashing. So mostly this kind of method is applied for mashed potatoes, those food that can be easily mashed. Next, paring. Paring uses what? A paring knife, in which it is used to remove the skin of a fruit or vegetable. Next, peeling. So uses peeler to remove the skin of a fruit or vegetable. Next, scraping. Unlike peeling, it uses a peeler, just a slide. But for scraping, you will scrap the knife in the skin of the vegetable. But mostly, this is just applicable for carrots. What else? Maybe potato. Next, slicing. So cut across flat pieces. So cut across. Next, so we are done with the preparation. Let's talk about methods of cooking. First is baking. So when you're going to bake, you use what? The oven. Mostly if you're going to make cakes, cupcakes, or any pastry products. Next, barbecuing. It is just cooking food in a direct heat. So you're just going to expose the food into a heat of a coal. Next, basting, just moistening food using its juice when baking or barbecuing. Next, blanching, it is just boiling water in which you're going to put the vegetable into that boiling water. So the dishes that needs blanching is salads. Next, cooking in a liquid, so boiling. So the water must be boiling. So you can call it a boiling method. Next, broiling. So cutting small pieces of meat or fish over live coals. So sometimes you can use in the oven or like barbecuing. Next, braising or browning meat or vegetable with liquid. Braising meat, browning meat or vegetable with liquid. Next, cooking food in a hot fat, very common. Frying. Next, cooking food in hot liquid just below boiling point, poaching. So it is not boiling because it is below boiling point. Poaching. Next, roasting, mostly done in oven with moisture or juice. Next, sauteing, in Tagalog, gisa, cooking small amount of fat. Next, heating liquid in a double boiler, scalding. Usually, if the bubbles appear, then you're done scalding. Next, steaming. So, the steam is just the only one that cooks the food. Okay. Mostly, it is applied for salads. Next, simmering. When you're cooking, then there is a liquid cooking the food slowly. in a liquid that is called simmering. Okay, next, stewing. Cooking food for a longer time. Sometimes this is applicable for food that requires a long time cooking. Next, toasting. So uses a bread toaster. It is browning or drying pieces of food. Okay. So that's all. Again, what are the methods? Toasting, stewing, simmering, steaming, scalding, sauteing, roasting, poaching, frying, braising, broiling, boiling, blanching, basting, basting, barbecuing, baking. The next, what are the food preparations? Slicing, scraping, peeling, paring, mashing, marinating, julienne, grating, folding, flaking, dredging, dicing, cut into strips, cubing, cut in, creaming, coring, chopping, blending, and beating. Okay, so we're done with the discussion of the lesson. So again, in preparing nutritious meals, we need to consider this kind of factors. The first is the menu planning. The first thing we need to do in meal preparation is the planning for the menu. So what are the meals that we're going to prepare for the week? Next, after we have decided the meals that we're going to prepare, we need to make the what? Market list. We're going to list down all the ingredients that we're going to buy for the meals. Next, after we prepare the market list, we're going to consider the food preparation and the cooking methods. So what is the difference between food preparation and cooking method? So food preparation, these are the activities that you're doing before cooking or before making the meal itself. So for example, you're going to slice first the ingredients, you're going to mix first the meat and the sauce, etc. Then for cooking methods, so these are the methods that you're going to use when cooking your food. Maybe you're going to use baking, you're going to saute, you're going to boil the food, or barbecuing, etc. Okay, so today, before I end up my video, I will give you the activity that you're going to make in your home so that next meeting, you can pass it to me. Okay. So this will be the activity. Okay, so the first activity is you are going to make your own menu plan. Okay, so for your menu plan, it is a weekly plan from Monday to Sunday. Then you're just going to choose 3: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So these are the meal plan that you're going to make. For breakfast, what are the meals that you're going to prepare? Lunch, what are the meals? Then dinner, what are the meals that you're going to cook? You can ask your parents or your mother on what are the meals that you're going to cook every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can use this pattern in a table manner, on a tabulated manner. Okay, so if you have question, you can just ask your advisor, Miss Mamunina. If you have question, then she will be the one to relay the question to me. Okay? Then next, after you have the menu plan, you can now make your market list. So for your market list, don't forget, you must have the quantity, the unit, the item description, and the estimated cost. You can just make a market list for one day. Example, for 1 day meal preparation. So what are the ingredients needed for breakfast? Ingredients needed for lunch? Ingredients needed for dinner? So for 1 day only, not the 7 days of the week. Okay? Okay, so I already discussed the lesson. I already give you the activities that you are going to make in your home. Then you are going to submit it next week, Tuesday. Okay, so I hope you learned something from my discussion today. And I hope you will make the activity that are given to you. Then Hope you enjoy my discussion. Thank you for listening and see you on next week, Tuesday. Bye-bye.